Hi folks, today we are going to talk about how to oil the valves on your brass instrument. Now I'm going to use my trumpet today, but the technique applies to any brass instrument that has a valve. So we're talking trumpets, cornets, euphoniums, tubas, anything where you have valves to press down, this works. Okay, so if you're relatively inexperienced in playing your instrument, then it might be a good idea to have a grown-up around with you, just to make sure that you're following the process correctly. Now there are many different valve oils that are on the market, and you can get valve oil from any music store or any big online retailer like Amazon or anywhere like that. My personal favourite one is the Blue Juice, so that's the one that I'm going to use today. Now, when I tend to oil my valves, I tend to go from the third valve to the second valve to the first valve, and I'll explain that in a little bit. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen off the screw there, and I'm going to gently take it out. Okay. Now the key to oiling your valves is that you don't use too much valve oil, okay? Because that can clog up the inside of your valves and make it quite dirty. So the best thing to do is use just a slight thin layer. So I'm not squeezing the bottle, I'm just gently dabbing a little bit on, just so it's enough to cover the one side. And then I'm going to slide it back in and then screw it back up. Nice and easy, you might think. Okay, that's because it is generally quite easy, but there are a couple of things that you have to watch out for. Okay, so I'll talk about that as I do the second valve. So I'm going to unscrew that again, take it out. So only do the larger section down the bottom. Remember, only a thin layer of oil on there. Okay, so you don't need to squeeze the bottle. Okay. So a bottle of valve oil can last you years if you're doing your regular practice and you're using the valves regularly. Now, when I put the valve back in, okay, my valves have a number, okay, on each valve. So valve 1 has a 1, middle one has a 2, end one has the third one has a 3. Every time I put the valve back in, the number needs to be facing the mouthpiece, okay, or if you're playing it, then it needs to be facing your nose. Okay, once that's in place, I can screw that into place then. Okay, if the number doesn't match the direction of the mouthpiece, then chances are the holes in the valves will not tie in correctly with where the tubes go through the instrument, and that's where all the air flows. Okay, so I've made another video which tells you all about the airflow to make sure that you have got the valves in the right place. Some instruments don't have numbers on their valves, okay, and therefore it can be quite tricky to know where to put it back in, okay. So that video will tell you all about the airflow and how to make sure that your instrument is good to go once you've oiled it. Okay, well that's pretty much all there is to it. Hopefully by now your valves should be working nice and smoothly and you can carry on with your practice. Okay, I hope you found this video very useful. Thanks very much.